host and a content writer. I'm a content writer here at Newsahoot. So today we're going to have a very, very important discussion, one that I think personally affects all of you kids here, right? So the topic of today's discussion is we're discussing the recent changes that NCERT has made to the syllabus, which is what is being taught in class 10th to 12th, right? And I'm sure that everybody here has like a whole bunch of opinions about it because, like I mentioned before, it directly impacts what you guys study at school, right? And your interests and all that. So let's do a quick introduction, right, of ourselves. I guess we can go in the order Yihana, Tisha, then Rakhi, and then Zaid. Okay. So Yihana, you can go first. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Yihana Joshi. I'm of 11 years. I'm from GUCK High School. I'm of 6th standard and from B section.
Well, what is some of your hobbies?
Favorite color is black and I like to do pencil sketching of anime.
Oh, you like sketching anime characters. Those
Yes.
are really hard to draw, right? Because they have like उसके बहुत cool graphics होते हैं. That's really nice. Tisha, would you like to go next?
Hey everyone, my name is Tisha and I am from Dear Secret Heart School. I'm in 6th standard and my hobbies are reading books, drawing, coloring, and reading articles.
Yeah, articles on Newsahoot.
Hello guys, my name is Rakhi. I am from SKV Nagar Girls School. I am study in 7th standard section B. My hobby is reading novels like Harry Potter.
We like Harry Potter. That's lovely. I feel like a lot of kids, so many people from my generation love Harry Potter too. Okay, Zed? Zed, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, is my mic working?
Yep.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zaid and I am from Dwarka International School in Dwarka from Delhi. I am in 8th grade and my hobbies are to read books, articles, and gaming.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my Zoom shut down. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we're all here. Okay, I'm so sorry, Zed. Could you please go again?
Okay, ma'am. My name is Zaid Khan and I am from Dwarka International School in Dwarka, Delhi. I am in 8th grade and my hobbies are to read articles, books, and gaming.
Oh, you're a gamer. That's really cool. Okay. So now that we're all like done with introductions, I just want to say that, this is, I'm sure this is like a topic that you guys have so many thoughts and feelings about, because it's so contemporary and it's an issue that affects all of you. So let's like try to make it like a really lively discussion, right? So you can ask each other questions, you can directly address each other, you can address me, and we'll make sure to give like the space to whoever's talking, right? We won't cut each other in, right? So we're all clear with the rules then? We're ready to go? Yeah, okay. So let's start. Um, so yeah, I guess the first question would be, we're all aware of the changes that NCERT has made to the recent syllabus, yes? So who's gonna tell me what the major changes are? Like, what is everybody talking about? And if you guys, I'm sure you must have read the Newsahoot article about it. Is very informative regarding what exactly and what precisely um, they've included in the syllabus. So who wants to tell me everything? Like, who wants to list what's been cut out syllabus में से? Zaid, yeah.
Ma'am, recently there have been many cuts from the NCERT books like human evolution, renewable energy, periodic table, a few topics related to history and democracy.
Yes, that is, you did, yes, you covered mostly everything. There are also some other topics, I think, related to, like, I think this is for older classes about the Cold War era and the emergency. I'm not sure it's in the syllabus for you guys because you're younger, but like extensive like amounts of a lot of different topics have like really been cut out. Um, okay, so th thank you. That was a very good list of everything cut out. So like how does that make you feel? Like जब तुमने news पढ़ी कि अब चीजें बदल रही हैं, right? And हम स्कूल में कुछ और पढ़ने वाले हैं. Like what were your feelings about it? Tisha?
Ma'am, I feel worried. Like now we will not read about the Cold Wars that happened, the things that happened in the past, the human changes, and our generations would be not educated about the things that happened.
Yeah, so that is true, you might miss out on like a big chunk, right? Rakhi, how did you feel like, when you read it?
I feel bad because many things cut. These things very important for us. Many things like what many people do in history. What about and Gandhi ji? What about Gandhi ji do? And many things.
Yes, fair point. Yes, they have. So, तो हमें क्या लग रहा है that उन्होंने change तो कर दिया है, but and one thing I believe is it's very important to change, right? क्योंकि इतने time से people say, oh, they're not, our education system is not changing, right? But now all of a sudden there is change, right? But it may not. I mean, a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about it. For example, I know कि अभी तुम स्कूल में हो, right? So कभी कभी class में it feels like the teacher's teaching something and you're like ये कब काम आएगा? I'm learning this stuff, but like when am I gonna use it in life? But as someone who's been through school and college, I'm saying कि ये चीजें तब शायद से you're like, oh, what am I studying? But later in life you do use like what you read and what you study in school. So it's super important. So when you guys read the news, is there like a topic जो तुमको लगा, oh no, I was so excited to read about this particular topic later? Yeah, Yihana, is there any topic that you particularly miss?
Ma'am, I like to read about our past, our history. I like who were the kings in the past times, how we evolved, and all. I like to read about that.
Yeah, that's really good that you're interested in history. So हमें क्यों लगता है कि history पढ़ना important क्यों है? Is it going to change our future? Like, does anyone see like a connection between that? Yeah, Yihana, your hand is raised.
Yes, ma'am, and we are getting taught about that in our sixth standard only. That history is a connection between the present and the past, and it tells us about our old kings, our culture, our traditions, and all the religions that are following, and that we feel are important for us. That all come from the history. History. So by reading it, we get more information about it.
Yeah, that is true. Zed, do you feel like history changes or like learning about history helps us move forward into the future?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, because by learning history, we get to know that the things and policies of old kings, and we can then make good policies and better futures, and we will not repeat the same mistakes that happened in the past.
Yes, that is, I feel like ये बहुत सबसे important point है. That the thing about the past is it teaches us. You know how just say your teachers and adults they learn from your mistakes. So I feel history is like a chance कि हम दूसरों की गलतियों से भी सीखें, right? Like for example, if something that happened in our country in like some 30 years ago, है ना? It's possible कि a problem like that we might encounter one tomorrow. And then if we know what happened then, it can sort of help us prepare better for the future, right? So, uh, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it yet, but they also seem to exclude the chapter about Mughal emperors and Mughal courts, which I think सबको काफी मुझे स्कूल में काफी interesting लगता था, to read about kings and their policies and how things used to happen. So who else here like is really interested in like reading about like olden days and their courts and stuff? Tisha, Yihana, any of you guys particularly interested in Mughal emperors, that part of history?
Yes, ma'am. About all the old kings, I like to know that how they ruled over the people and what were their policies and all, what they did, what were their rules.
That's true, especially because I feel like history is I'm not sure how many of you find it interesting, but the fact is that you can तुम उसको कहानी जैसे बता सकते हो, right? So even kids find it like really interesting और वो याद भी बहुत अच्छे से होती है, because you remember it as if you're being told a story, right? Uh, the other thing that they disincluded this time, or their plans to disinclude, are movements, like people's struggle, movements of like struggle. So, for example, so there's one particular movement that was even like named in the Newsahoot article about this, जो uh, जो वो exclude करने का सोच रहा है. Does anyone know the name of that movement? Zed, your hands up.
Ma'am, is it the Narmada Bachao Andolan?
That is, it is. So did you know what the Narmada Bachao Andolan is about?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it is about that the people who are living near the Narmada River, the government is planning to build a dam there. But if they build the dam, so many people will lose their homes.
Yeah, and this is not just like it's not an isolated case, है ना? ये काफी बार होता है जब भी there are big dam projects इंडिया में. ये बहुत बार होता है कि लोगों को people protest it because वो कहते हैं कि हमारे our our lives are here, our homes are here, and so this is something जो history में एक बार नहीं हुआ, वो बहुत बार हुआ है, right? So that is why it's important to like learn about these things. Okay. And there's this one very, very important part of the syllabus. It's also like a very important part of our country, which is, I think personally that it's important for kids to like learn about. Yihana?
Ma'am, it's democracy.
Yeah.
And democracy provides voting rights to all citizens above the age of 18 and of the age of 18. Democracy provides the people the right to vote the leader of their choice. And if they think the leader is not good, they can choose another leader in the next election.
Yeah, that is true. So India follows the democracy, right?
Yes, ma'am. India
Everyone knows
is
that.
a democratic country.
Exactly, and our democracy and our right to vote is very important. Like I'm sure you guys aren't of age, but I know that like it's very exciting the first time, you get to vote as well. I'm sure like are you guys looking forward to like getting that right to vote sooner or later? But anyway, so it's a very important part of our history, and I think it was summarized very nicely by, you guys are gonna guess. I'm just gonna say the slogan. So it's for the people, by the people, and I think from the people. I think, yeah.
This is a part of my this time presentation that is after the summary questions, democracy, and this line is also there.
Yeah. So yeah, could you tell me who said it?
It was is for the people, and it is ruled by people. And democracy came from the word democratia. Demo means people, and kratia means rule. So democracy is ruled by people.
Oh wow, you do actually. You even know the origin of the word. I'm sure you're making a pretty good presentation, right? So there are like a few other things also that they've just included, right? And as you guys can see, ये एक सिर्फ एक जगह से नहीं, ये बहुत subject से, they've decided to cut some certain parts. So as far as like the topic of like, so they've also cut a certain topic from chemistry, right? So like, who can tell me what that is? उन्होंने chemistry के syllabus में से, yeah, Zed. You're on mute. I don't know if you know that.
Ma'am, they have cut the periodic table from the chemistry syllabus.
Yes, that is true. And Rakhi's gonna tell me why the periodic table is so important in chemistry. Rakhi, would you like to answer? Can you hear me? I'm not sure if she can hear me. Rakhi, can you hear me?
मैम आपकी आवाज थोड़ी कट करके आ रही है.
Oh, I'm sorry. अब आ रही है? अब आ रही है आवाज? Okay, I feel like
Because it makes the solution.
that is yes, that is very close, and that's yeah, that's kind of the point, I guess. Keep periodic table. Everybody knows the periodic table consists of Z.
Ma'am, around 118 elements.
Oh wow, I was just going to go for like elements. You told me the exact number. Okay, very good. Yeah, and it's important to study these elements because we need to know how things react with each other, right? That's like it's not just a very important part of like being an actual scientist in a lab, but like for every day, to know that things don't react well. For example, kabhi kabhi what happens is घर पे like your mom might tell you कि इसके बाद ये मत खाना बिल्कुल immediately, right? या फिर you're not to eat two things together. तो वो बोलते हैं इसलिए because somewhere it causes a reaction in your stomach, right? If you're eating some two very different things that have two very different
Ma'am, like
properties in a way.
they say that after eating the food, don't drink water. Then they react in our stomach, and it also creates infection.
I'm not too sure about the infection part of that, but like I know कि my mom, since I've been little, my mom's told me that don't eat any, like don't have any milk after you have like a non-vegetarian product, right? Does anybody else get told that? Or don't, yeah. Yeah, Yihana, have you heard anything similar? Like, let's all share what we.
I have also got to hear this when I eat non-veg. After that, no milk.
Ma'am, same
Yeah.
fish also no milk.
Yeah, fish. So like, and I feel like maybe I asked my mom, I'm like, why are you like, telling me these things? So that is the power of knowing what reacts with what, right? You can use it in your everyday life. So yeah, yeah. So is there like a part of, like, you guys told me that, you're very, oh, I'm so sorry. Before anything else, I know I call every topic like very important, but this one is extremely important to understanding human history. Okay? Who knows the answer for this one? It's a topic that they've recently like decided to not include. Yihana?
Ma'am, it's about human evolution. That
Yeah,
how
it
human
is.
changed from apes to human to Homo sapiens.
To Homo sapiens, correct. Though it's got like a much vaster history because yeah, evolution हुआ ही, it's happened over like thousands of years, and some people we're still evolving, Abhi, we're not even at the final stage of our evolution, right? So yeah. So can anyone tell me like the full story of evolution, human evolution that you guys like know of? Is that
Ma'am, around 7 million years ago, the humans started evolving from apes. The first early humans were known as Nean, Olothricus
Neanderthals?
and Olothricus, and they were having both human-like and ape-like characteristics.
Yeah.
They had a bigger skull and compared to the other animals, but they still had some ape-like characteristics. And then after a few million years ago, those human species they started evolving into then they later evolved into Homo sapiens around 30,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, we still saying something? No? Okay. So हमारा evolution पढ़ना important क्यों है? Rakhi, are you gonna tell me? Rakhi, would you like to? Everyone has their hands raised, but I want to give you the chance.
Ma'am, I tell about human evolution.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Any interesting
Human
facts from anybody are also welcome.
human evolution is very important for us because our anchors do many things for development. How our anchors eat food, how I anchors develop our world and find many things like our anchors our anchors find how can burn a fire.
Yeah, yeah. I feel
And
like the word you're trying to say is ancestors. I was just getting super confused.
yes,
Yeah. So yeah, our ancestors did find fire. What else? What else are human inventions? Think कि man ने क्या बनाया सबसे पहले? There are lots that हम आज भी बहुत ज्यादा use करते हैं. I can't seem to see Rakhi anymore. So Zaid, yeah.
Early humans invented many things like they discovered fire, they invented tools to hunt animals, they also learned agriculture, and they also invented the wheel.
The wheel, that is definitely one of,
Early humans
it's so important.
also Early humans also domesticated animals and learned to use them for their needs.
Exactly, you know. And so exactly, and this is why studying evolution is going to be really, really important for us, right? To understand where we've come from and also where we're going at the same time, you know. So it's helped so much in scientific discovery, in how a society works, हमने ऐसे this is how human beings learn, right? So when it comes to the topic of social movements and wars and stuff, like the wars, I mean, sometimes just when you read about a war, you kind of get sad, right? Because it's not a happy affair, is it? So why is it important to learn about people's struggles? Yep, that
Ma'am, I think that it is important to learn about human struggles because we get to know that how our society has evolved due to many movements by people, how we have got
mhm,
democracy, how we have got many rights and policies.
that is very true. I feel like, but the point that I'm specifically trying to get to, like for example, we're not this included some wars and some riots, right? Basically, where we're talking about a loss of human life, you know. And मुझे लगता है that a very important reason we need to study is that so we don't commit this blunder again. Because like in history, right, think of uh, you know, like before there was COVID, right, which is the big pandemic you guys know, there was also the plague, which was like last century. And that was also very similar, sort of like basically there have been so many outbreaks of like diseases. And it's important to learn from those, like as human beings, so we understand how we're gonna effectively deal with this in the future, right? And I feel like these two themes, especially like, which sadly might not be in the syllabus anymore, democracy and people's movements, right? Because when people come together, historically, we've learned that when people come together, that is when real change comes about, which is also the same part of it. It's also the point of a democracy, right? Okay. So I feel like we should. Does anyone have like any interesting? Because we just discussed so many topics, right? That sadly might not be included later on when you're, finishing your studies through grade 10th to 12th. But does anyone have any questions or like any, anything you've been wondering? Like, you probably read this article and it made you feel a certain way, right? So what is like one of the first thoughts that like came to mind? Because like I agree, it's important. Yeah. Sorry. That-
Ma'am, I don't have a question, but I have a fun fact.
yeah, sure. I love fun facts.
Ma-
We all love fun facts.
Ma'am, the first democracy was established in ancient Greece around 2000 years ago.
It did. It definitely did originate in Greece, right? Yihana did a presentation on that. You can confirm that for us, right?
Ma'am, firstly, the started in Greece, so the democracy is also the word from Greece only, and
Yeah,
then it
good word.
was used in ancient Rome. But
Hmm.
after in the Middle Age, the kings ruled. Then there were no voting rights provided. But in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, women were not allowed to vote, and only the rich and the powerful people were allowed to vote. And in Middle Age, kings come and ruled over their people. But then in ancient France, again rights came, but still women were not allowed to vote. But after that, democracy started in many of the countries, and the women were also allowed to vote.
Yeah, so I feel like the women fighting for their right to vote is called the suffragette movement, right? And I feel like, especially when we read history, I don't know about you guys, but the first thing, when I read about all these things, I feel like we're so lucky right now. You know, we're so lucky that like things are better off than they were before. Like, for example, women have the right to vote now, which, it should be a universal right for everyone above the age of 18. And I just feel it's very important to like learn these things because it makes you realize how far we've come, right, as a human race. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Ma'am.
Yep, Tisha.
And we also know about the struggles that the people did to get the rights,
Mhm.
and the things that the people did when they didn't have the rights to vote.
Yeah. History teaches us like some of the most important lessons of them all, right? So all of all of these topics about like the wars and like evolution and democracy, especially, they're very important us like right here because our country is a democracy. So Abhi, for example, we're having this conversation and you guys are like obviously really smart and तुम्हारे वजह से I'm learning so much and we can only discuss this right now because it's already a part of your syllabus. Don't you think? Ki you already know this because you've already studied this in school.
मुझे भी कुछ बताना था।
I'm sorry, Rakhi, you saying something?
दी मुझे भी कुछ बताना था डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में।
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Democracy is very important for us. In many cities, women is not allowed for voting. In my city and my village, women have voting vote. I feel very good. In my village and my city, all people respect women.
Yeah, that is a very important part. So you're saying that you've seen uh like around us even the conditions of women improving, you know? Because like now everybody gets an equal say. It's not like Yihana mentioned, it's not just for the elite and the privileged class. It's not just for rich people now, right? And rich people and men, you know, women also have their own agency. And we've only learned about it through, mainly through school, right? Okay, moving on. Um, so who's okay, so like I was mentioning that previously, one important part is that we always discuss about it's very important to discuss where we came from in order to like see where we're gonna go, right? So can anyone like try to elucidate with more examples of movements that have like movements or certain like scenarios where learning about the past has helped us with the future? I'm sure खुद के personal lives में there's like already things and moments in time जब तुम you know you guys get what I'm saying? Dad, everybody has to share at least one story, okay?
Ma'am, like the French Revolution, ma'am, because due to that, the idea of democracy spread in whole world. It preached that there should be equal rights to all for voting, not just to the privileged wealthy people. And it also removed the special privileges of the king and queen.
Yeah. And don't you guys think that that's also a very important part of news? So even today, आज के दिन में, like if we read about something good happening in another country, right? Or we read something bad happening in another country, right? So that's how we know, that's how we check हमारी personal progress, है ना? Like for example, if I'm in a country that is not a democracy, right? And let's say I read about a country like India or any other country that is a democracy. So yeah, it is a spread of those ideas. And ideas are truly important. Like ideas can really change the world. Anyone else? Tisha, Yihana, Rashi, anyone's free to chime in.
Practice.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Tisha, could you say that again? I didn't hear you the first time. Tisha, can you hear me? I'm not sure if she can. It's okay. I think her camera's frozen. Yana, would you like to, you know?
Ma'am, democracy is important, and it has been a half century of democracy in our country, and people now the poor people are also allowed to vote on the poverty line people also, and people are choosing the leader they like, and they are happy to vote as we see. And today we are also thinking that how we will feel when we will be able to vote when we turn 18. What will
Yeah.
and that's the excitement, and we'll get to know about that when we'll get 18 only.
Yes, exactly. So, it's the whole spreading of ideas is very important because यही होता है ना, when you hear about something अपने friends से, अपने parents से, it gets you thinking, right? And you think, oh, what if this is part of my life, right? And that's how change happens, right? Rashi,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to add anything?
मैम आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like I can hear you, but you just can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm saying, would you like to add anything, or do you have any questions?
Yes, दी.
Yeah, for me or for
दी जो
anyone else.
दी जो हमारा इस बार मुझे बहुत साल से क्वेश्चन है जब हम ये आप जो हमारा टॉपिक है जो एनसीईआरटी कट सिलेबस.
Yeah.
तो मुझे इसमें पूछना था जो एनसीईआरटी ने क्या सोचकर हमारा लाइक 10th क्लास का सिलेबस क्यों कट किया होगा.
So that's a good question, and I believe the answer to this question was in the article itself. So I know the answer, but who's gonna tell me? Okay, Tisha seems to know the answer. Yeah.
Ma'am, to not add pressure to the students, and to lower the syllabus, less syllabus, so no tension, and
Yeah. Zed, you also had your hand raised. Would you like to add? I have this one other point, but I want to see if you know it, and then you can say it.
Ma'am, the topics were rationalized because there was the COVID pandemic around 2, 3 years ago, so there would be pressure on students if they have so much syllabus to cut some not so necessary topics, I mean, and also some topics that are not relevant in this time, and some topics that can be learned easily without the help of a teacher.
Yeah, so that is true, Rakhi. I would also like to add that NCERT also said कि uh, some of these topics are overlapping, that you'll end up reading about it here and there, and उसको बार-बार mention करके, I mean, they're not gonna give it a, a section of its own. Also, I think उनका ये भी मानना है that yeah, these topics exactly, you can also look them up yourself, if you're very interested. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Rakhi, sorry.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have a
Uh,
question. Can I ask?
Sure. Shoot.
Ma'am, how age start getting those straighter backs and start working on 2 feet? How they evolve to the first stage of evolution?
Could you please repeat your question?
Ma'am, I said how monkeys, chimpanzees, and apes started getting straighter backs and started walking on 2 feet. How they evolved to the first stage of evolution of humans.
Okay. I seem to have a little idea, but one of you guys is gonna answer that question. So who knows? Anybody? Dead? Okay. You go, I'll help you if you stumble. Go ahead. Yep.
Ma'am, I think that it is maybe because that evolution has been happening since the world has started. First, there were
Mhm.
bacterial, microbial living beings, and then they turned into small amphibians, and then into complex animals, and then now many more animals and mammals. So evolution is was happening earlier and it is also happening right now. It is not stopping.
Yes, that is correct. I also feel like a big part of evolution is adaptation, right? So I'm sure you guys have read that, for example, camels have humps to store water, or cactus leaves are like thin needles so that they don't lose water through perspiration, right? So I feel like ये जो changes आते हैं, it's all for survival. So I do feel survival is a big part in evolution, isn't it? For example, if they walked on, let's say, if apes, right, before we were humans, if we walked on all fours, right, we slowly started using our hands to make things like the wheel, like fire, and then slowly, there was like an understanding कि अच्छा, we can use our hands for different things, and we only need 2 feet to walk. So I feel as a species gets smarter, it adapts, and then we evolve slowly. But yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's very interesting, isn't it?
Ma'am,
Okay, anybody else?
question.
I'm sorry, what?
Ma'am, I have one more question.
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, many apes are still there. Why didn't they evolve to humans?
Well, maybe they're not smart enough. I'm kidding. Um, it's a good question. I'm not exactly sure of that answer. Yeah, okay, Tisha, do you know the answer?
Ma'am, because the monkeys were similar to humans, like two hands, two legs, then they were only selected, and any other animals was not having straighter backs, and the uh, things that monkeys have helped to revolve easily.
Hmm. That is true. And I feel like that comes back to just survival wala part, tha, right? For example, maybe a few apes in one part of the world needed to survive because let's say they were predators, or like they needed to look harder for food. So they needed to change themselves faster than, let's say, apes in another part of the country जिनको सब कुछ बहुत easily मिल रहा था, right? So maybe that's why. It is. Anyone else have any other questions? Zed.
Ma'am, I have a question that, ma'am, as evolution never stops, so what type of evolution is happening right now, ma'am, in us humans?
So that is a good question. Okay. Yeah, no.
Ma'am, right now we were evolving in technology. We are getting new type of technology, right? In earlier time, there were no mobiles. There were only landlord numbers. Now we have mobiles. But when we were not involved. There was nothing. Just, just like the monkeys and apes, the Homo erectus started to using fire. We are also evolving in technology like that.
So that's a really funny answer, actually. It's actually a pretty smart answer. I feel like that has more to do how our brains are evolving, right? Because technology is an invention of the human brain. So, Zed, to answer your question, I did read somewhere, though I want you to double check this to make sure. I read कि अभी भी like human bodies are evolving. So you guys know wisdom teeth क्या होते हैं, right? You guys must have heard कि wisdom teeth are and it's very painful, right? So I read that in babies being born very recently these days, so turns out their skulls are a little smaller than humans, let's say 100 years ago, and they're born without wisdom teeth, is what I read. So, that's a big change, isn't it? I think some one half of the population might have wisdom teeth, and kids being born today might not have wisdom teeth. So that is a really good example of how the human body is also still evolving, right? I feel you're on mute, Yihana, if you're saying something. Were you saying something, Yihana?
No.
Yeah, okay. It's an interesting fact, though, right? About the wisdom teeth and the smaller skulls. I think softer skulls also. Because उतनी survival की जरूरत नहीं ना, because आजकल थोड़ी आराम की जिंदगी है for like a lot of
Technology
people.
evolution, one word was there in the video that we got for evaluation. And
So,
videos.
yeah, exactly. And as a point, it is true. It was created by a human being, but like a smarter human being, right? Like आज इस century का human being, not like 200-300 years ago. So our brains are also evolving. You're actually very right. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add before we wrap up? Yeah, Rakhi, any questions? No?
No,
Okay.
the not any.
Okay. Well, I think we can wrap up now. It's been a really fun discussion with you guys. You're really smart. When your schools reopen, I think you'll all be getting certificates from Newsahoot as like you know, as a thank you for participating. And it's been really nice having you guys here. Enjoy your weekend and stay tuned to Newsahoot.